Hi, my name is Cooper York, and this is How We Got Here, evolving into the modern morality play. And this presentation is directed, writing and screenplay, starring role, head camera operator, and funding and special thanks to Cooper York. To give some background, the essential aspect of a morality play is that the main character is taught moral lessons, while often involving principles of religion and Christianity to teach it. It can further be specified that the character must be tempted by the devil or another demonic presence specifically, but given the specific definition, not even Dr. Faustus falls into this category. This is because in Dr. Faustus, a lot of the struggles with morality and with temptation occur internally, not necessarily the result of Satan or Mistopheles. But when taken with the broader definition of where morality is taught to the main character without all of the demonic presence, then many modern and older works do fall into this categorization and classification. So the origin story of morality plays began with the release of Everyman in 1510. It was met pretty well. It was an adopted epic poem, and then one of the most impactful at the time, and written 82 years after the release of Everyman, is Dr. Faustus. And both of them were extremely successful, largely because of the religious climate at the time of their release, which caused an immediate positive reaction from the audience and society as a whole, mostly because they valued religious works and morality plays, since they taught religion and morality and taught the principles of both. Many people were very happy with how it was created and what the message brings. And as it began to evolve, Paradise Lost was believed to have been released too late, released 75 years after the release of Dr. Faustus. But it showcased the main piece of evolution between them in that 75 years. And even though it's small, it is impactful. And it is the difference in how the individual morality can have an effect on how it's perceived. Dr. Faustus conveyed that even the most prominent of mortal men can fall victim to temptation and be cast into eternal damnation, while Paradise Lost showed that even the embodiment of evil, which in this case is Satan, and the embodiment of purity, which in this case is Eve, can fall victim to temptation and sin. And both my quotes kind of show this. My quote from Dr. Faustus, written by Christopher Marlowe, kind of talks about how if you forsake your religion and continue to follow down a path of evil and temptation that only benefits you while on earth, then you'll live in eternal damnation and your soul will be cast into hell and be deprived of the joys of heaven. While Paradise Lost shows a similar but completely different one, where it's the speech Satan gives to his followers and his disciples about how all is not lost. They need to keep on fighting, and it's Satan showing that he can be a heroic character as well, which is extremely different than how he is perceived in the Bible or perceived by the average person. And because of that, we get kind of this dynamicness of showing how there's good even the most into the most evil of characters. And Eve kind of showed us how even the most pure of heart and the most innocent of characters can still be tempted into falling into sin. Now, the modern day morality can best be characterized by the invention of the superhero in cinema, and it has had profound effects on society, as evidenced by 5 of the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time are superhero movies. And it seems to be that as a society and as a species, it seems that we are all fascinated with those that have supernatural powers, and have been that way since literature or stories have been, in general, were first told. Evidence of this is stories like Beowulf, the Odyssey, the myth of Prometheus. All of those have some evidence of supernatural powers, and evolving into stories like Batman, Deadpool, and the Avengers all have supernatural powers, but none of them, the latest stories, are not associated with religion much in the slightest. They may have their own religion, but they're not tested or showed to be a major influence on them in their movies or in their stories itself. While in Beowulf, he was religious. The Odyssey has contact with many Greek gods, and the myth of Prometheus is a literal Greek god that it's about. So religion is, although not a major aspect, do play a heavy aspect in it. And did morality actually evolve? So in the 500 years since every man's been released in 1510 to 2022 when this is being recorded? The short answer is no. Morality has not necessarily changed, while how it's been perceived has changed, because there's been a shifting away from associating morality and personal values, away from only religious principles, and much more towards individual values, like what you value as a person or as a culture. Um, Even though there are strong overlaps between the two, it is important to note because we no longer believe in slavery. We believe in equality for women and, for the most part, for gays and transgenders. Overall, we're a much more accepting society, even though equality has been a theme that's supposed to have been in Christianity and religion, but now it is much more prominent and much more valued. So here's the end. Here's my works cited page, but I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank